Welcome to the Sheridan Report on the Grueling Truth Sports Network. The Sheridan Report is brought to you by DSI. Make sure you check out betdsi.eu. Put in the promo code TGT to get a 100% cashback bonus on your first deposit up to $1,000. You get 50% casino, 50% sportsbook on the bonus. You can also go to thegruelingtruth.com. Click that banner at the top of the page. Also, plus, we've got the handicapping guide with Phil, who you guys will get to hear tonight with our Belmont preview at 8 o'clock Eastern with Ernie DeGregory, who was the agent to, I think it was like 8 or 9 all-time great jockeys who are in the Hall of Fame. So make sure you check that out by going halfway down the page on the Grueling Truth and clicking on the banner. I am your co-host for the Sheridan Report, Mike Goodpaster, and right now I'd like to welcome in my co-host, Bobby Sheridan. How you doing, Bobby?
Hey, Mike, I'm doing great, and we got a big day ahead of us today with MLB, with the Belmont, with of course Game 4 tonight in the NBA, and I just want to say something about your great job. You had the Blues again yesterday. They were a nice dog selection. They got the lead now in that series 3-2, and they're favored obviously to win that. And Game 6 is Sunday, so we'll probably go over that tomorrow, right?
Yes, tomorrow we will have you the winner.
All right. Well, sounds good. And Mike, I'm excited for this Game 4 tonight, although we don't have it, the max bet top play like I was kind of predicting. I've backed off of that. Can we get into the NBA right now, Mike?
Yeah. You just changed everything, and I had to click a different button. But, yeah, we can do that, Bobby.
Let's do it.
Did you want to talk about the WNBA first? Because the Dallas Wings are playing the Indiana Fever tonight.
Let's not go over that one.
Okay,
all right.
We'll save that for another day.
Sorry about that. I switched gears on you for a second. Mike, in the NBA tonight, I anticipated betting Toronto big in this game based on the fact that I thought that by this game there was a good opportunity that Durant and Thompson, well, I didn't know Thompson would be hurt at the time, but that Durant would be back. And I was really expecting Toronto to have a 2-1 lead perhaps in the series and Durant come back, and I wanted to get the full value of the line because if Durant was playing tonight, you're looking at probably an 8-point line. Durant and Thompson, that is, playing together. And the fact that they could have been down 2-1, actually, going into this game tonight. And so they're up 2-1. We watched Game 3. They're up 2-1. And, we're going to kind of watch Game 4, too. Remember in the back, in our hand, in our back pocket, we've got the Raptors series bet at plus 255. And that line is now minus 125. So it was minus 110 when we went on air yesterday to win the series. And now Toronto is minus 125. The Warriors are plus 105. That's up-to-date line. So we're sitting pretty. Okay, we're up 2-1. We don't have to force a bet. The reason why, Mike, is because tonight's game, the Warriors at minus 4.5 is probably as low a value as you can take, especially without knowing all of the factors you want to know. How is Thompson? How are they going to play in this game tonight? It is a do-or-die game for them. They cannot fall down 3-1, barring Durant coming back and being a miracle worker there. They will lose the series tonight if they lose this game. So, and I know you feel a little differently about Curry, but that's how I feel. So we don't need to force a bet on tonight's game. Now that's in the position I'm in, or we're in as supporters, followers, DSR, Grueling Truth. So we're in good shape. So, but tonight I do think there is some value on the under, because I've thought in the whole series that we're going to have a game that flies under, like 99-95, 104-99, something like that. And we haven't had that yet, but still, we've got 2 unders out of the first 3. So tonight at the under 216, which is now down to 215, I believe we can hit the under. That is the play that I'm on tonight. That's the play I put on the sheet. Now we're hoping for a Raptors win at plus 165. If Thompson comes back and is a big difference and we're sitting at 2-2, that's okay. We're going back to Toronto 2-2. We've got the home court. and I believe Toronto will win the next one, and we might have a nice bet on the next one. So that's where we're at tonight in the NBA. Mike, now, how do you feel? You nailed Game 3 when I backed off. How do you feel about Game 4?
I already bet the Raptors straight up.
All right, so you're going on the same.
Yeah,
so you got about
I think the Raptors are on a roll. I think Thompson will be back. I think the Raptors could have played a lot better than they did the other night. If the Warriors don't jump out quick, though, I think the Raptors have the better lineup with no Durant there.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And I think you have a team that has never won anything, and now it's becoming very real that they could win this.
No doubt, and I mentioned yesterday on our show about Kawhi Leonard and what a great job he does, just staying so focused and poised, and his emotions are totally under control. He knows that until this thing is 4 wins, that Curry could snipe him, and that Draymond Green could pull something out, and so there's just complete respect, and I just love how he just puts his head down and just keeps going towards the goal. I love that guy. And what do you think? I know you've mentioned a lot on this Survive and Advance show about Curry. You think he has more points tonight? Less points with Thompson.
He'll score as many points as he needs to score to give them a chance. The big question is how many can Klay Thompson put up? What can they do together? And not even so that much, but I think defense is the biggest thing here because I think the key to this game is going to be Siakam, Lowry, and Danny Green. And Leonard's going to get his 25. He's going to play well because he always does. Siakam, I think he's going to play well. Now, if you throw in a big game by Danny Green like we had the other night or a Kyle Lowry, I think they win, and that's why I think they win tonight. I think that Lowry and Green will both score in double figures tonight.
Wow. And then, of course, if those two don't or one of those two doesn't, you've always got Gasol or Van Fleet to be that third guy.
Yeah. I just think there's more options with the Raptors right now.
Yeah, I agree with you, on offense especially. And then Thompson he might bring the defense tonight, which would help my under. Because when he's off the court, it's not just missing his offense for Golden State. It's really his defense because he and Leonard are the best two-way players in the series, correct?
Yeah,
the best two-way guys, the guys that do it the best on both ends. And, Gasol, he's probably in the top 5 because he was a defensive player of the year before.
But I can tell you this, if Gasol scores 15 points, this game's a wrap.
Right.
But that's how I look at it. I think the Raptors are going to get it. I could be wrong, but I'm playing with bonus money, so what the hell?
Hey, and the Warriors, that's a good spot to be in, playing with the house's money. And the Warriors, tonight, though, very desperate team tonight. They've got to win, and so I'm going to just root for my series bet, play the under, and let's see where we're at Game 5. I probably won't even be on Game 5. Just because if they win Game 5, up 3-2, maybe Game 6 is the next nice straight bet on Toronto that I can really recommend. But one thing I will say, Mike, putting all what we're on, what we're not on aside, there's no value tonight in taking the Raptors at plus 4.5. No value. Doesn't mean they won't win. Just, for me, not a play.
All righty, Bobby. Next up, you want to go to baseball? We will talk Stanley Cup Finals tomorrow for anybody interested in Sunday night's Game 6. Let's go baseball, Bobby.
Sure. And baseball today, Mike, we've got one going already. Let me check a score because I haven't checked on that in a little while. Not a good score for us. We got the Cardinals over the Cubs, and the Cubs are winning 2-0. They scored 2 in the first, so that game has a bad start for us. So maybe that's good for the listeners. They didn't have that. Let's see how that turns out. But here's what we do have. I'll give out. Here's our 3-team mix and match, and we've got the Braves all at 4 o'clock, 7 o'clock Eastern. So they're all at the same time, exact same times. Got the Braves, Mets, Yankees, all 4 and starts. And let's look at that a little bit. You got the Braves, very high favorite on the road, -177 over the Marlins. Mike Soroka, their star young right-hander, who has been almost unhittable for them. Reminds me of a DeGrom like type pitcher. They're a big favorite. It doesn't matter. They're still less than $2. We'll get the parlay rolling. I like them, if you remember, for their ability to beat the Marlins. They've beat up on the Marlins, and it's one of the reasons why they won the division last year. And it'll be another reason why they win it this year. Remember, we said the Marlins could decide this. Right now, it's looking like the Braves and Phillies, Nationals, and the I'm drawing a blank here, Mike. And the Mets are a little bit behind those guys. And it depends on how the Marlins go straight up against those other four teams. Could decide the division because they play them all 18 times. And the Braves have had great success against the Marlins. So we're going to take the Braves. The Marlins are also home after a long road trip in which they were very successful. So you know how I don't like the first home game after a trip. So the Braves fit for me there to get things rolling. And then the Mets throw their Jacob deGrom tonight. He's a big home favorite, minus 190 over the Rockies' number 5 starter, Senzatella. And if you didn't see yesterday, Peter Lambert for Colorado made his major league debut and gave up 1 run over 7 innings and beat the Cubs. So they're introducing a young stud arm right about now. They might become a factor in that wild card race, the Rockies. But tonight, no dice. You got deGrom going for the win there in the Mets. And then to finish off our 3-teamer, which looks really solid, obviously, is the Yankees. They're starting a new series, and they're going to Cleveland. Cleveland coming off the Twins series. They took 2 out of 3, but they lost a big one yesterday behind Bauer. They lost that game. We needed that game. We had 2 really tough 1-run losses yesterday, Mike. And Cleveland at home starts a new series. Yankees come in, and the Yankees are going to throw young stud pitcher. They've got Domingo Herman, who just, strong, good right-handed pitcher against Dan Plesac's nephew, Zach Plesac. Dan, former left-hander for the Brewers, all-star left-hander, who's okay, but, Cleveland coming off that big series. They got another big series against the Yankees, not divisional series, but still a big one with the Yankees coming into town. Cleveland is just not swinging the bats as well as they need to, Mike, against this offense they're going to be facing. The Yankees' offense is good. They can score in different ways. Their bullpen is great. And so there's just a lot of different ways. The Yankees dominate the pitching matchup here, basically. And so I like the Yankees at minus 123. That parlay, let me plug it in right now and see what it would pay up to date for the listeners. I got to get Toronto out of there. And I got to get the Warriors out of there. Warriors under. I may have to hold back on that because my thing's not working. But that parlay as of last night paid $354 for 100. So, that's not a bad payback. Let me try it now that I got those 2 teams out. I want to give the fans a good update on what that pays. Okay, so for $100 today, we're looking at $333. So it's gone down a little bit. So $333. So still over 3-1 odds, and that looks like a slam dunk to me. Straight plays tonight, Mike. We missed the Cardinals, but I'll give you the top play. And I'll give you one of the other 2 side plays. Side play, Mike, you're going to laugh at me a little bit because I tend to like to bet on the Giants, which I've toned back a little now. But anytime the Giants and the Dodgers play, this is one of the best rivalries in all of sports. Absolutely one of the best rivalries in MLB. But if you can get some factors, it's almost like, Mike, remember you probably heard this, like in football, that say when Notre Dame plays Michigan, or when UCLA plays USC, or Notre Dame plays USC, or any of these rivalries, you can almost throw out the records because you're going to get just an unreal game almost every time. And it's a little bit like that in a professional sense. It's baseball, it's not football. But the Giants, when they play the Dodgers, there has been countless examples, especially late in the season when one of those 2 teams is winning the division and they've got a big series coming up and the other team plays spoiler. And it's happened many, many times. And the Giants were already in spoiler mode. Of course, they're not doing anything here in Bochy's farewell year, and they're transitioning. But we've got that working tonight. Okay, you've got Kershaw coming in there, who, to me, I think he's sitting on one of those duds, and we called Verlander yesterday, and we were right. 6 innings, 3 runs, right? Seattle was 7-7 in that ball game in extra innings, and we should have won that. I'm predicting the same sort of effort tonight. I think the Dodgers, Kershaw, will throw an average game tonight. And this is based on where I've been following. I watch tape and I follow everything. So I think he's sitting on a dud. For him, a dud. And then the Giants are throwing a lefty against the Dodgers, who 3 games now, the Dodgers have faced a lefty. That offense isn't clicking against a lefty. So if the Giants can get to the bullpen matchup, you could be 3-3, 4-4 in the 5th or 6th inning with the bullpens now coming in. Before Jansen, the Dodger bullpen, that's an Achilles heel. Giants kind of strong in the bullpen. Towards the upper part of the National League at one time they were. They've been used too much. Definitely capable, right? So you might be looking at plus 205, 210, 215, whatever that is, sitting in a 3-3 game at home in an upset spot in the 6th inning. So that's why I like the Giants tonight. I think they're going to have a big shot to win this game. This is the one game of the series I like them. Top play tonight, Mike, and I'll leave it at this. I'll hold off one of my I got 2 top plays. I'll hold off one of them. Let's go with the White Sox, the one I want to give you. And this is a very strong play with Ivan Nova taking the mound against the Royals, Homer Bailey. And you're getting a plus price on the White Sox here, small road dog, with a pitcher who has, if you take away some of his early starts where he was pounded, and he's not a dominant pitcher anymore, but Ivan Nova has been making some quality starts for the White Sox, who have pretty darn good offense, pretty darn good middle with Moncada and Abreu. Tim Anderson is playing at an all-star level. The White Sox are just ahead of the Royals on their march towards being having a shot in that division. Okay, Twins are ahead of all of them. That's why they're winning. Remember, this is a division that was dominated by Cleveland and has been for 5-6 years, and that's shifting now. And the White Sox, a lot of young talent coming together at once. You know, they're going to be a player. That's a big market, and they'll spend money when they're ready to. So this is a team that probably next year at this time, we're talking them and the Twins battling that out. But as of today, we have to settle for our little wins here. When we can get them at a plus 108 against a poor team, a team that doesn't play real well at home against one of their average pitchers, not one of their top 2-3 guys, top 2-3 arms, we're going to take this. I like the White Sox tonight at plus 108 to get that series going. And there's your baseball, Mike.
All right, Bobby. What do you want to do for on this day?
On this day, Mike, we've got one I know you're going to love because I've heard you talk about this series before, but I want to hear it in depth. 1978, 32nd NBA championship. The Washington Bullets beat the Sonics 4-3, 1978.
All right, number one, they had like the coolest uniforms. Both teams did. I actually bought my son a Wes Unseld jersey when he was 6 with the candy stripes and the Warriors or the Bullets on it. The Seattle Supersonics, I think, are the most interesting thing here. Not just because they won it all, but this is a team that I think started the season off worse than any team ever did and recovered to win it all. They were 5-17 to begin with. Bob Hopkins had replaced former Boston Celtics center Bill Russell as the coach. He was fired, and Lenny Wilkins got his first return for his second tour of duty there. The Sonics were led by Jack Sikma, Fred Brown, Paul Silas, John Johnson. The guards were Dennis Johnson and Gus Williams, 2 great guards. And Wilkins' experience, I think, was a key factor in them turning the season around. They won 47 games. They were the 4th seed in the West. They defeated the Lakers in a 3-game mini-series, which they used to have back in the day. Then they upset the number 1 seed, the Portland Trail Blazers. Bill Walton got hurt in Game 2 of that series, which helped them out, but they won that series in 6. And then they beat the Denver Nuggets and David Thompson in 6. Now, we transitioned to the Bullets, and the Bullets were a team that had made the finals twice before in the 70s, but they were swept on both occasions. First by the Milwaukee Bucks in 1971, while they were still in Baltimore. Well, the Bullets were. And then by the Cinderella Golden State Warriors in 1975. Now, the Bullets kept a lot of the key personnel for the 1975 team, including All-Stars Wes Unseld, Elvin Hayes. But Dick Motta, who was now in his second year of coaching duty with them, the Bullets had struggled with injuries during the season, but managed to finish with 44 wins. They were the third seed in the playoffs. They beat the Hawks in a 2-game first-round series. Then they beat the San Antonio Spurs, who, believe it or not, were in the East at the time, before making the finals again. And the interesting thing here is, you've heard the expression, the opera isn't over till the fat lady sings. That was coined by Washington head coach Dick Motta, who, when they were up 3-1, was interviewed by, I think it was a Spurs broadcasting team. And they asked him if the series was over, and he said the opera isn't over until the fat lady sings. And he ended up right there. But we had a 3 seed against a 4 seed. Interesting thing about the finals, like I said, I've said this before, all the games that weren't on the weekend were on tape delay. Game 1, I think, is one of the forgotten classics in NBA history. Kevin Greavy and Elvin Hayes scored 27 and 21 points respectively, and the Bullets held a 19-point fourth-quarter lead. The Stone staged one of the greatest comebacks in NBA history in front of the home crowd. I think it was at the old Seattle Center Coliseum, and they were led by instant offense, downtown Freddie Brown. Brown scored 16 points in the last 9 minutes, finished with 32, and gave the Seattle Supersonics the win. Now, Game 1 was in Seattle. Game 2, we come back, and it's actually in Washington. And it's an unusual schedule format for this series because it was 1-2-2, 1-1. The next 2 games were played at the Capitol Center. I think, don't quote me on this, but I've got all the games on DVD, and it seems to me like they had some kind of rodeo or something that was going on, and they had to move the schedule around. So times have changed. But Wes Unseld defended inside on Marvin Webster, Jack Sikma, pulled down 15 rebounds, handed out 5 assists. Bobby Dandridge was the big hero here, dropped 34. Bullets tie the series with a 106-98 win. Game 3 at Washington, Dennis Johnson was awesome on defense, blocked 7 shots, held Kevin Greavy 114 shooting. The Supersonics win the game 93-92. Bob Dandridge missed a shot at the buzzer. We go back to Game 4 in Seattle, another great game. This is one of the most underrated series in NBA history. And this was a game that Washington won 120-116 in overtime to tie the series at 2. We're still playing. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, that game was played at the Kingdome in front of like 39 or 40,000 fans, which was the biggest crowd for an NBA Finals game at that time. And then Game 5, for some reason, they go back to the Seattle Center Coliseum, play in front of 14,000, and the Supersonics win the game to take a 3-2 series lead. Downtown Freddie Brown 26, Dennis Johnson 24. They go to Game 6 at Landover, Maryland, the Capitol Center, and the Bullets blow the Sonics out 117-82. And then we come back Game 7, and it is played at the Seattle Center Coliseum. And the Bullets ended up winning Game 7 on the Supersonics home court, 105-99. And the interesting thing about this series is, I'm looking it up right now because I want to see. I think the MVP of this series was Elvin Hayes, and he averaged like 9 points a game. When has that ever happened?
Oh, jeez, never.
No, it was Wes Unseld. And, look at his stat line. He averaged 9 points, 11 rebounds, and 8 assists a game. He was the MVP of the series. But this series, there was 1, 2. You had really 5 classic games out of 7 in this series. And this was a series that, people forget about. And the thing I remember about it was this. At the end of the Game 7, because I got the DVD, it was it was halftime of Game 7 or at the end of Game 7, they played It's a Heartache by Bonnie Tyler. That's how the series ended. And the other thing about the series is, with the 1-2-2-2, 1-1 thing, the 7-game series took like 18 days to play. It still remains the longest days in number of playoff series ever played in any sport, and that includes the 1989 World Series, which was interrupted for 10 days by the earthquake.
Yeah, but Oakland took care of them 4 in a row on the other, right?
Yeah,
Or
and
4-1,
in
I
this
think.
one, the thing that's interesting here is Washington beat Seattle at Seattle in Game 7 to win it all. The next year, these two teams played in the finals again, and actually the Supersonics won Game 5 to win the series 4-1 on the Bullets' home court. So they both split it there, and then, of course, Magic and Larry came into the league, and neither one of those teams were ever allowed to do anything again.
Oh, man,
But those were great
remember
teams. I mean, you had a front line with the Bullets of Elvin Hayes, Wes Unseld, Bobby Dandridge. I mean, that's a stud front line. And on the other side, you had a backcourt of Freddie Brown, Gus Williams, Dennis Johnson, and a front court with Jack Sikma and Paul Silas. I mean, those were two great teams, and they had two great coaches. And the sad thing is, it's just kind of a forgotten series, even though it was one of the greatest in NBA history.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. And as a kid, downtown Freddie Brown, I remember that name, and I remember him and playing it. And Elvin Hayes, now where was Elvin Hayes at in his career at this point? We talking
he was still pretty damn good. He was probably 9 years in. Him and Unseld both were right around 9-10 years. This was probably the peak of their powers.
Oh, wow.
Hey, we have a question from a listener. We have Bob from Greenville, North Carolina, wants to know what you think of a two-team parlay between the Giants and the White Sox.
Oh, that would be great. Anytime you got a straight plays out there that I talk about, a dog-to-dog parlay is how I built my bankroll.
Yeah, I just looked it up, and it's almost 6-1. If you were to just put $25 on it, it pays 131.
Yeah, let's just stick 100. I'm saying 100 just because it's easy to think about. 100 for 108 or 110 on the White Sox, or even 200 because it's a top play. So let's say $20, 200, whatever you bet.
It pays $500 or $600.
Yeah, 200 on that. Okay, 100 on the Giants, and then a 50 par.
Yeah,
I call that a boom boom par. You hit the straight, hit the par, or just bet the par. But see, when you do that, you miss out on a nice dog. You split those two, you'll cover the parlay action. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so if you just bet the parlay, you're risking a lot less. But what I'm saying is, I like these two dogs a lot. So the chances of going 1-1 are a lot more better than going 0-2. So you go at least 1-1. You cover it all. You have to have a bankroll to make money. So you cover that parlay at 2-0. You've crushed. So dog-to-dog parlay and straight bet, like that is how I built my bankroll, was through baseball. And so you asked me that question, that's a no-brainer. And I'm not going to sit here and say that the Giants are, a best bet type thing, but if you get over 2-1 tonight in that game, you should have a good shot to win that game. And the White Sox are a top play for me. So, that's a really good parlay. I will have that. There's no doubt about it.
All right, Bobby. Anything else before we wrap it up? Better to let people know the Belmont tonight at 8.
Belmont show at 8, and those guys are ready to go. And a couple things I'm reading here. Darren Rovell, he sometimes has some interesting tweets. He says Allen Iverson turns 44 today, which, of course, we knew that. That's on our sheet, on our happy birthday section. But in 11 years, on his 55th birthday, he will receive $32 million trust fund as part of the lifetime Reebok deal he signed in 2001. Because of a divorce settlement. Not too bad, huh? Because of a divorce settlement, his ex-wife will get $16 million of it.
Oh, shit. That ain't too good.
Oh, man. God darn it. And then there's one more I looked up, and I kept it here because I wanted to talk to you about it. What was it? It was about Zach Plesac, a pitcher tonight against the Yankees. Hopefully this will be finishing off our three-team parlay. But Zach Plesac, a nephew of Dan Plesac, right-handed pitcher, 2016 round 12 pick. Two things I want to bring up. He's coming off of 2 starts, both very good starts. 1 earned run over 5, 1 earned run over 7 against Boston and against the White Sox, both on the road. Those are very, very good starts, and that's why that line tonight's only a plus 123 for Cleveland. However, coming back now, he's making his first start at home That's a bit different. There's a bit of a pressure situation at throwing at home versus throwing on the road. It's in the Yankees. So I don't think we'll get that same stat line, of course. And then as I'm looking him up, he's from Crown Point, Indiana, Mike. I've never heard of Crown Point. Where is that?
It's in Indiana. Crown Point actually won the 1983, I think they won the 1983 girls high school basketball championship. The interesting thing about Dan Plesac was he made like 3 straight All-Star games, 87, 88, and 89. And in 1988, he recorded 3 saves against the Twins in a weekend series immediately preceding the 1988 All-Star game in Cincinnati. And due to travel complications, he flew to Cincinnati on the Reds team charter plane.
Oh, did not know that. That's cool. You can catch him on the MLB network. I think you still can. I know he was one of their broadcasters on like their quick pitch show or their.
Did he throw a no-hitter or a perfect game at one point for the Brewers?
I think he used to be a starter as well. Yeah, he might have a no-hitter in his career. That does make.
Yeah, I can't remember. I'm looking up here. I don't see it on here, but for some reason I remember him doing that. But it probably would have said that if he did, or maybe he got one broke up late or something. Because he was a big part. You remember the '87 Milwaukee Brewers when they started off like 13-0 or something?
Oh yeah,
yeah. Because he was one of the main pitchers on that team. But all right, Bobby. I want to remind people tonight on thegruelingtruth.com, or you can hear us on Spreaker by hitting up the Grueling Truth. You can hear a live Belmont preview of myself, Bobby Sheridan, Phil from the Handicapping Guide. Did I get it right? The Handicapping Guide?
Yes, you did, finally.
What do you mean finally? I think I'm right half the time on that.
No.
Yeah, I
You're almost never right.
We're going to go back. It's the handicap. Well, it should be the Handicapper's Guide, but it's the Handicapping Guide.
That's what.
Huh?
All right, yeah. You'll have to ask Phil about why you named it ING instead of ER.
Oh, just to screw with me,
Handicap.
probably. But also have Vince DeGregory, horse racing legend. So make sure you listen to us at 8 o'clock live tonight to get all your Belmont stakes fix. So
Mike, I'm as excited about this race of the 3 Triple Crown races. I'm more excited about this one than the other 2. It's not the Kentucky Derby. It's not. But this race tonight, I think, is going to be a damn good one. I mean, tomorrow. Our show tonight previewing tomorrow's race, I think is going to be a damn good race.
And hopefully we'll have a damn good show tonight, too.
Well, we will.
We will.
There's no doubt about it. With Vince DeGregory's stories, holy cow. Talk about who he's done it all. He's known. You talk about a guy in horse racing, he's known him. He can tell you a story about it. I mean, anybody, you bring it up, anybody. He's the real deal. 86 years old, lifetime in horse racing.
All right, guys, you can check. Go ahead.
I was going to say, but we've got him here on the Grueling Truth. I think that's cool.
All right. We're going to go ahead and wrap it up. You're going to be like Risley. You keep interrupting me at the end of shows. But all right. I'm kidding. But go listen to Survive in Advance because I crushed Risley's spirit today, I think.
Well, I'm going to listen to that. I listened to yesterday's show late Thursday as I was still working. And I'll hear today's. I'll put it on when we hang up, Mike. How's that?
You can listen to it whatever you want, Bobby. But if you guys want to listen to us on thegruelingtruth.com, me and Jeremiah Pricer will be on at 11 o'clock live tonight to preview the big fights this weekend. Gennady Golovkin versus Steve Rolls from Madison Square Garden. Make sure you check out the Sheridan Report at Sheridan Report on Twitter, thesheridanreport.com on the internet, and make sure you listen to us tonight at 8 o'clock with the Belmont Stakes preview. So, we're going to wrap it up. Remember, you can hear all our shows on iHeartRadio, iTunes, TuneIn, Spreaker, Stitcher, Spotify, wherever you find sports podcast. You'll find The Grueling Truth. So, for Bobby Sheridan, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.